Lesson is on quadratic functions. These are the objectives for today. Please write them down and we will go through them throughout the lesson. So what is a quadratic function? A quadratic function is a function that can be written in the form y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c, where a cannot equal 0. Notice that the degree of the polynomial is 2. The x has an exponent of 2. This is the standard form of a quadratic function, and in this quadratic function a, b, and c are the coefficients, and they can be negative, they can be fractions or decimals. And the rule here says that a cannot equal 0. Do you know what would happen if a is equal to 0? The x squared term would disappear and the function would become linear. So let's look at the graph, the equation, and the table of a quadratic function. The graph of a quadratic function is called a parabola, and it's a U-shaped curve that opens up or down but never sideways. So if you see a parabola, you can tell that that is a representation of a quadratic function. As far as looking at the equation is concerned, if you see the standard form, then you know it's quadratic, or if the exponent of the x is 2. For example, here x is to the power of 2, it is quadratic. Here x is to the power of 2, it is quadratic. In this one, x times y, the exponent of the x is 1, therefore it is not quadratic. And you couldn't write it in its standard form. The last one is a linear equation. Now looking at a table, it's a little bit more tricky. You want to make sure that the x values are increasing by 1 and then look at the y values. We look at the first differences, which means you subtract the y values from the previous one. So 8 minus 2, 2 minus 0, 0 minus 2, and so on. It turns out that the first differences are all different types of numbers. So we don't know what's going on. So what we need to do is find the second differences, which is the differences of the first differences. When you do this, it turns out to be all the same. So in a quadratic function, the second differences are the same. Now let's identify the domain and the range of the function. On the left, we have a parabola that is opening down, and the highest point it reaches is 0, 0, which is the origin. So since the domain is all x values can range anywhere from the left to the right of the graph. So we can say that the x values, okay, this just died on me. We can say that the x, we can say that x is, oh my god, just won't do it. Alright, x is all real numbers, and the y values are the range, and we can say that y is less than or equal to 0. So you try the one on the right. Here the parabola is opening up, and the lowest it goes is to the origin 0, 0. So the x values, the domain, are all real numbers, and the y values, which is the range, is greater than or equal to 0. Identify the vertex. Is it a maximum or a minimum? So the vertex is the lowest or the minimum point, or the highest or the maximum point of the parabola. It is the point where the parabola changes direction. So if you look at the parabola on the left, it's going up, 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 and then it starts going down. It changes direction at this highest point. The parabola on the right is going down and then changes direction and starts going up, and this point is at the origin. So what we do is we write it as the vertex is at 0, 0, and it is a maximum. Same thing here, you're going to say that the vertex is 0, 0, and you use a short form, you use max. In the second graph, the vertex is again at 0, 0, but this time it is the lowest point of the graph, so it's a minimum. Now the next thing we're going to do is make a table of values so you can graph a quadratic function. Remember, when we are asking for a table, there should be 4 columns and you should have 5 values. And we always want to put the 0 in the center and 2 numbers above and 2 numbers below the 0. So here is our function, and put the function in the second column. Third column is y, fourth column is xy, and remember to mechanically just put parentheses instead of the x for each one of these, and then you want to pause the video, you want to fill out the x values, and then play the video again. If you did everything correctly, your y values are these numbers, your ordered pairs should be these numbers, and then you want to graph it and make sure you label the curve. That is it for today. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.